All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
We're going streaky! Yeah! What's happening, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Dynasty Warzone, the People's Dynasty Podcast. And on this week's show, no Memphis. It's me, Kyle August, host of the Fantasy Football Smackdown, sitting in for my boy Memphis here on the DWZ. And of course, I couldn't be hosting this show without the man of the hour and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair. What up, Jerry?
Yo, that was okay. For one, the sunglasses threw me off a little bit. I wasn't ready for it. Luckily, I was muted, so my chuckle didn't come through the microphone. Also, that's a pretty good impression of Randy. I think you've got that pretty damn well. But I'm good. I am good, my friend. I got my vaccine today, so I can go back to licking doorknobs and doing normal things in life. That's what people used to do, right?
Hell yeah.
So how the hell have you been, my friend?
I've been good, dude. It's been a busy month for me on a personal side. Work's been busy as hell. I moved. So if you're watching over on the YouTubes, which if you're not already subscribed over at the Dynasty Warzone YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. You can see I'm in an empty room. There's literally me, a desk, the microphone, and then that's literally it in here. So no background images for me, nothing fancy anymore at the moment. But
your wife's just super pissed at you.
I think she was fed up with me having an office at the old house, and now that she needs a workspace, so that's priority one right now. We need to do other things than hang my 40,000 NASCAR diecast. So whatever. But yeah, man, life's been good. Dynasty season is obviously rolling. I'm pumped to talk to you a bit today about some Dynasty. We're a month away from the draft, so all the rookies have been covered up, down, and sideways as we get closer and closer and closer. And before you know it, we'll have drafts coming out our ears. But life's good, man. So I'm glad to be here hanging out with you for a bit.
I appreciate. Listen, and here's a little secret. So the Sunday after the NFL draft is my birthday, and that's when all of the rookie drafts start. It's going to be a wonderful time because usually I've got to take 36 bathroom breaks during that first day so that I can avoid, so the wife doesn't notice that I'm drafting or I'm looking to trade. But it's my birthday, so I can get away with it this year. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. Knowing my luck, though, people like you will milk the clock, and then I'll have to wait until Monday, and I won't even get to pick. It'll be horrible. I'll have to go back to hiding in the bathroom.
So that's the thing. I'm in some leagues with you guys. I'm in at least one league with both you and Memphis. And I'm the commissioner of this league. It's been a long running league. It's in all honesty, it's kind of though. It's like a brown bear league. Like there's hibernation periods for sure, right? Like this shit, nothing goes on for months. Trying to work on some ideas to try to figure that out, but regardless, and you and Memphis are like the most easygoing members of this league. I'll throw out hey, what about this change? And you're just like, yeah, whatever. Just tell me where I need to be. I'm like, oh, okay. But then the draft starts and the clock's a ticking, and I can feel the angst that you and Memphis both have. Like, when is this MFer going to make a pick?
Listen, I know it's a slow draft, and I appreciate that people have things going on, but I'm in leagues with all of these people. So many of them, in fact. I know you sons of bitches are on your phone all the time. Yes. You have notifications. You have everything else. We talk about every single player, like you said earlier, up, down, and sideways. We know damn well who we like and who we don't like. If you bastards don't pick faster, it drives me nuts. I don't know. It's like I get trying to trade, but if you're not pulling a trade, damn well, just take your pick. What the hell are you doing? Randy's a bit of the same too, though. He takes a little bit. We're in a startup. I'm in one startup with him right now. I got roped into it because I'm a sucker for peer pressure. We had to do the DARE class when we were kids. Mm-hmm. Apparently I didn't listen. They got me with the peer pressure, but he's the same way. That man, he had I don't know what it is. I don't want to say audacity because that's not the right word. He had, I don't know. He's just so mature that this man was on the clock and said, I'm going to go to bed. I'll think about the pick and I'll pick in the morning. No way could I possibly do that, knowing that I was on the clock and not pick until the morning. Absolutely not. I'm too much of a child for that.
You got to sleep on it, I guess, Jerry. Come on now. It is the best is when there's been someone on the clock for, hours, and then they're dicking around, and then finally they make a pick, and then the next person on the clock's like, this pick is on the board. Come get it. I'm like, F you, dude.
Bro, that's like the first 4 rounds of every draft, every pick.
That's the one thing that does annoy me. It's like, if you knew there was a chance you were trading out, you should be doing that investigation ahead of time. If there's one guy that you were going to take, you should be, shaking the trees, right? Trying to figure out a move. I mean, I usually don't have that many draft picks anyway. So, I'm just steering the ship as the commission a lot of these leagues, but I totally get it. I am someone that on the MFL platforms, I don't like pre-drafting. I want to be able to click the button, right? I want the satisfaction. If I hung on to a damn draft pick for freaking 12 months, I want to be the one to turn in the card. I don't need, Robo Joe making my pick for me over at MFL. You know what I'm saying?
Bastard Robo Joe over there.
So that we've got.
I'm superstitious, so I don't like to pre-draft unless it's way late in the startup. Just because I feel like the moment I hit pre-draft for that player, someone's going to snipe me before him. So I hate to do it. Same thing in like a redraft. Like if we're in a draft, like a live draft where you have to do the whole thing all at one time, I will not highlight someone's name that I want because I'm so superstitious that I don't want somebody to take them.
I'm with it. No cue for me. No, I don't want. Somehow they'd be able to see through my computer and know that that's my guy. So nothing's worse than getting sniped. All right. Well, before Memphis fires me on my part-time substitute teacher duties, I got to let you guys know today's show, what we'll be talking about is building the perfect Dynasty League. You see all these memes or Twitter posts or Instagram or whatever the hell of the perfect player, the perfect quarterback, and, Kirk Cousins' arm with, Joe Namath's left foot. And I'm just like, calm down, world. The perfect Dynasty League. Today, Jerry and I are going to take you through, if we could create the perfect Dynasty League, what would it look like? And the reason for this is it's startup season, baby, and people get greedy. They want to get going. They want to join leagues. But I'll tell you what, future you in just a few months may regret the fact that you've joined 7 or 8 new startup leagues. So you got to be a little particular, I feel like. So that's today's topic. If you guys haven't already, rate and review the show. Apple Podcasts, you know what to do. Memphis tells you every damn week, rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Let Memphis know that Kyle, the good Kyle, and Jerry killed the DWZ. You need to make this full time. I mean, come on, Memphis. I've paid my dues. Get me onto the actual mothership here. But leave a rate and review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Check out the Dynasty Warzone on YouTube. We go live on the Fantasy Football Smackdown every Monday night, myself and Jake Ripp. And then, of course, the DWZ guys here with Memphis and Jerry every Tuesday night, with podcasts releasing on Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. And if you're subscribed to the Dynasty Warzone, you're getting the whole network, DWZ Football Network shows dropping throughout every week of the year. So you got to be doing that. All right. I wanted to start the conversation with this, Jerry, because you mentioned it. You got roped into a startup. Last year was the year of the startup, 2020. No one had shit to do but just try to get in more leagues. So how are you, Jerry Sinclair, approaching adding leagues? What is your base criteria from time to time, like when people are asking you or that you see opportunities to join leagues?
When I first got into this, when I first really jumped down the rabbit hole that is Dynasty, because we all do it, you realize that it's just ungodly fun. And then the next offseason, you're in like 13 startups because you love to draft. The problem is at some point, having sex to create a baby, super fun. But eventually it starts pooping all over everything and you got to clean it up. And that's sort of what a Dynasty startup is. You get into that first and second year and all of a sudden you've got all sorts of different stuff going on. Plus you're, if you have a problem, which we all do, you've probably added more babies on top of that. So I have limited it as best as I can. When I first started, I was grabbing crazy Devi leagues and best balls. And you know what? I backed off of that stuff. I realized it's not my cup of tea. I sort of stick to sort of what I like. I had a couple, usually we have a couple Patreon leagues will get added. I'm definitely going to join in a couple of those. I have one startup that me and Memphis have talked about. I have one home league. Actually, a lot of the people in my area, they said, Jerry, we heard you have a Dynasty podcast, and we are very interested in starting a Dynasty league, and won't you effing know it? Even the local Jerry community is getting in on the business. So I'm going to join one of those, probably put my foot in my mouth and look like a boob, but I'm good at that anyway. So I'm limiting myself. That's the short version of all that rambling.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I think the thing that you and I deal with, I guess, is just we want to stay plugged in, So like when I'm sitting there, even this offseason, I'm like, man, I added and this is legit, I added like 5 leagues last year. And, all of those leagues are returning, obviously. But for me, it's like, man, I want that feel of what a startup is like, heading into 2021. So I can give good advice. I can relate to the decisions people are having to make. I can try building a roster differently. Last week on the Warzone, you mentioned about how your startup strategy is usually, try to trade back, accumulate, future picks, punt the first year. After listening to that, I was like, oh, damn, Jerry did that to a T in the one league that we started up where I traded with you. I got you out of that first round pick. I gave you some future capital and I loaded up and went for it year one. And
I mean, you made the finals.
I finished second. That's banners hang forever. No one remembers the person that got beat down, Gonzaga. So with that being said, with startups, you definitely have to be careful. You can get carried away super easily. And the thing that sucks is if you stretch yourself too thin, you could be doing a disservice to your new league mates because you're not able to stay committed to it. You're not tuned in. You're not the league member that you want to be. So that's the one thing I would just throw out there to people is, do look to be a little bit picky. Now, if you're only in 5 or 6 leagues, well, what are you doing? You got plenty of room. You got capacity, man. Come get it. But if you're upwards in 15 to 20, you may want to see a counselor and then decide what works best for you. But
what do you sort of take like the same core group of players when you do multiple startups like that, or do you try and diversify?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get that question a lot in redraft, obviously too. For me, I'm getting my guys, and I'll draft the same damn team every time if they fall there, right? And I think last year I did that maybe more than any other year because there were some guys I really liked that their price tag was super attainable, like DJ Moore, like Brandon Cooks in redraft leagues. I had Robinson in everywhere because he was super cheap. I had Herbert in a bunch of spots. So when those guys did well, oh man, I was feeling good that week. And when those guys sucked, you felt it. So there's I understand the strategy both ways, but I'm usually like, man, if I truly believe in a guy, I want that guy on my roster. So when he hits, I feel like, man, I really did, I helped myself out there. I did myself a service versus like, oh, Evan Ingram's on the clock. Well, or on the board, I might as well take him because, even though I hate him. So I don't want him on my damn team. But how about you, man? How do you usually approach those leagues?
For the most part, the same. I feel like the later rounds are always the same guys, like the same dart throws. I always pick the same dart throws. The problem is Darius Geis really pissed me off because I had an ungodly amount of shares of Darius Geis, and I was straight scrambling to find RB2s everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I do need to diversify a little bit. Even if you love somebody, I can tell you, be careful. They might like massage therapists too much. They might like punching humans too much. They might like doing a lot of things that are not related to the football field, and that can screw you and your money and your bragging rights up. So diversify a little bit.
Yeah, I do hear that. And you mentioned the late round picks. That's always so funny because, yeah, I feel like in the early rounds, you're always just like, okay, damn, I know what's going to happen here. These 2-3 guys are going to go. It's what I'm going to be left with. And if one of those guys falls to you, you're like, hell yeah, I feel pretty good about this. In the later rounds, I feel like everybody's got their guys. So most of the time, you're like, when you do kind of have a list in your head because you don't put those guys in the queue, is you'll be like, okay, it's between this guy and this guy, and then you'll take one, and then the next comes back around, and like the other guy was still there. It's awesome, right? So late rounds are fun like that, but yeah, it's tough if your teams are very close or identical. So let's roll through. I got some topics here. These are things that as listeners of the Dynasty Warzone, a lot of this stuff probably won't be brand new to you guys. We'll be throwing our opinions out on some things. But if you haven't heard about some of these things, give it a try. I think this will be good for you guys as you're looking for new startups. Maybe you're starting leagues yourself. I know I commish like way too many leagues because I'm just like, if you want it done right, do it yourself. So here I am. I'm the commissioner of freaking like 8 leagues right now. But I enjoy doing it. So it's always helpful to have good commish. But beyond those things, we're going to roll through some things here. And I think the one thing that's funny, Jerry, and did you see, before we dive in, and I keep pushing this off, did you see the Matthew Berry tweet about the Superflex rookie draft with Pitts versus Lawrence? Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah. Well, I saw it.
So whenever I see stuff like that, so if you missed it, for one, I'm blocked by Matthew Berry on Twitter because I made a comment one time about some league he was in or whatever, just like a joke, and he blocked me. So if I ever want to see his tweets, I have to go to the SmackDown handle and look there.
That's awesome.
So he tweeted that he was in a rookie draft, Superflex, and it was tight end premium. But the team at the 101 took Pitts over Lawrence. And he said, "What do you guys think?" And he posted this. And obviously Matthew Berry's a big name in the industry. I don't know if he's known for his dynasty prowess, but he's big in one of the trendsetters. No joke. Like it was like a 55-45 split that people said, no, Pitts is the pick. You take him. He's generational. And I'm like, obviously,
and that was like 18,000 votes in too. So it wasn't like 4 guys.
And the thing is that it was a reminder to me, because you and I and everyone listening to this probably too, you were immersed in this stuff, right? So when we're talking, we're saying things or assuming knowledge about this topic that the average person, or even like maybe a diehard that just hasn't jumped fully in yet, like doesn't know yet. Like if those people know Superflex at all, there's no way in hell anyone votes Pitts, right? So that tells me that 55% of Matthew Berry's followers don't know shit about Superflex, So I don't want to assume that people know all this stuff. So that's why I think breaking all this stuff down will be good for the people.
I agree. Listen, it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember what the argument was, but I was arguing for a running back over a quarterback in a Superflex on Twitter, and Iggy Alcafaz of the DTC bodied me, just straight bodied me with more knowledge than I was ready for. And I learned my lesson that in Superflex, you take quarterbacks, and it only takes one team. This is what I say all the time. In a Superflex league, it takes you to have a quarterback problem one time, and you will learn your lesson from then on out. Mm-hmm. Because the moment you go trying to trade for a quarterback and they know you're desperate, just cut your arm off, go get your chest of gold and start dragging it to them, because they are going to steal it all from you.
Mm-hmm. And that's honestly the going rate for like a poop sandwich quarterback. I mean, yes. It's ridiculous.
Listen, you want to ask how much Sam Darnold costs right now? Because I bet it's a shitload.
It is insanity. And I've been in those positions. And like you said, it only takes one time to put yourself in that bad spot before you regret it. It also really takes only one team in a league to load up. Because if there's a team that has 4 or 5 usable quarterbacks, that means that none of the other teams have 3. And unless someone has a surplus, they sure as hell ain't going to trade them to you. So that's the part that's really tough. I was in a league a few years ago with a startup, and this asshole on the end took 4 quarterbacks in the first 8 rounds. And I was like, you just screwed me. Like, I don't have a QB2. I drafted Phillip Rivers in like round 15. I just rode his old ass for the last 2 years. And here I am now. My second quarterback is Andy Dalton. Like, I'm effed, right? So, and I can't buy a guy. I can't pay for anyone because they're just way overpriced. I'm just riding it out and see what I can do. But you're absolutely right, man. It's at the end of the day, those quarterbacks are so freaking valuable in Superflex. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking the perfect dynasty league. So let's build this thing out. I'm going to kind of roll through these categories. We'll kind of do a little catch-all at the end. So we'll ping pong back and forth here. But Jerry, if you're building the perfect dynasty league, what is the host site that you're choosing? There's a bunch out there. And I'll just say this. I know that it's probably not Flea Flicker, but I'll give you the floor.
I have had a few leagues on Flea Flicker, and they are all gone, thankfully. No, I'm good on that. I'm good on Fantrax. I had a Debbie league on Fantrax. No, thank you. The answer for me is Sleeper, and it's not even close. I know that my fantasy league MFL is super popular and it's extremely customizable. Here's the thing. Super lazy. There's a reason that Kyle is hosting this show right now while Randy is on vacation, and he did not give me the keys because I have no idea what I'm doing. And that is the same with this. So I like Sleeper. It's super easy. I get all the notifications for games. I get everything I want. It does really everything I need it to. Also, if you get into a league on MFL that is not super customizable and it's that same 1997 website that they have from Netscape, it sucks. And when you first learn, like when you first get into an MFL league, like, you know, you're just getting into Dynasty and you see Ryan McDowell is, you know, doing a mock draft or something, you're like, ooh, I'm going to do that. And you go to draft your first player for the first time and you have no idea how to do it. I remember the first time I did that, Kyle, I mean, 20 minutes of just trying to maneuver that website to try and figure out how in the hell to draft people. And I was like, I don't know what I was doing. So I had to end up like, I think I DM'd him or something. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So hopefully he doesn't have that screenshotted or anything, but I'm a Sleeper guy. I'm fine with MFL. I mean, obviously we're in a couple MFL leagues. I have a lot of them. I'm cool with it. I think it's just those two. You know, we have the Reality Sports Online for the contract, which I actually like. I didn't fall on my face as bad as I thought I did, but I was looking at my contracts yesterday. That might not be the case next year, but so I do like that for contracts wise. But as far as, you know, the sort of standardized, you know, draft your players or auction, MFL and Sleeper they're right there. I just prefer Sleeper.
Yeah, and I'm with you there as well. If it's free, it's for me. Sleeper it has the chat built in already. They have some of the scoring that is not standard per se, but like you can do bonuses, points for first down. You can do tiered PPR. You know, you can add premium for tight end receptions, those types of things. So they can do what you need it to do. Props to whoever runs the MFL Twitter handle, because that asshole retweets every single thing known to man. I'm pretty sure I even saw that he retweeted like a promoted tweet the other day. Like this dude, like I want to meet that guy because I'm sure as hell not retweeting all that stuff. But Sleeper is it's solid. They make updates to it. You know, it's free, but I think you get your, you know, it's not one of those you get what you pay for type things. I think it's a strong platform. So if you haven't played on Sleeper, I highly encourage it. All the Patreon leagues are on there. I know, like it's super simple. It's really easy. I've moved my redraft leagues over there from other sites because, you know, it's again, it gives you the alerts and things as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. They added the ability to mute certain parts of the app instead of the entire app. So that's always helpful as well.
You actually got like home leagues to switch to Sleeper?
Yes, I did.
Look at you.
I know.
You're a much better salesman than me, apparently.
I definitely I will tell everybody that I know. I'm like, this is the way to go. I like the draft board that you can, like, that's what we used last year. We were trying to, you know, due to the COVIDs, we in one league, we always do the live stickers and all that stuff. And we were trying to avoid, you know, 12 guys touching the same 4 pieces of paper 15,000 times. So on Sleeper, they have a draft board. So we just logged into another computer, put it up on the projector. That was free. It's right there. I know there's other things that do that, but it was simple. I didn't have to export or, you know, import rosters. It was just done. So it's simple. It's easy. I will give a little shout out to Reality Sports Online. I'm not they're not a sponsor. Either is MFL, who we just kind of shit on, but Reality Sports Online, if you haven't done contract leagues before, I really do enjoy that site. It is a little bit on the pricier side. I think it's like $12-13 a team. So it is a little bit costly, but their platform does incredible things that you can't find anywhere else. So if I'm building the perfect league, though, I'm going to roll a Sleeper. It's simple. Everybody knows how to use it. You don't run into, I don't know how to draft problems on there. Sure. It's user intuitive. So there you go. Host site is covered. All right, let's roll into the format here. So let's combine these two. So format and the roster, like a lineup. How would you, like, what kind of format it for your league? You know, probably Superflex as an example is one of those things. But what other type of things would you add to your league? And then what would you want as like the perfect lineup for a dynasty league?
Okay, so we sort of have a standardized view of how, you know, Randy and I view a dynasty league. You know, Superflex, Tight end premium. I don't really care what the premium is for the most part, as long as it makes the tight end valuable and it doesn't make them dog crap, for lack of a better phrase. And then as far as the rest, you want to know like how many spots for each position?
Yeah, I mean, it probably just comes down to like how many flex spots do you like? Do you like 3 wide receivers? I'll like
I
one
do.
flex spot. What do you go with?
How many wide receivers do you go? I prefer 3. But I'm also a person that likes to build around wide receivers, so it's sort of conducive to my success. So maybe it's just me being selfish.
I did a league. I'll answer your question with not answering it. I did a league last year where I made it like 8 flex spots and 2 super flex spots. So like you could just play whatever freaking position you wanted. I actually ended up hating that because
Really?
I was just like in the moment I'm like the flexibility, everyone can just do what they want. And I don't know why. It just felt weird. I don't know. Maybe it was just like the psychology of like when you looked at your lineup, the quarterbacks were at the bottom and like players weren't grouped how you thought they should be. I don't know. But personally, I like 3 wide receivers as well. I'm good with that. But for my perfect lineup, I had kind of the standard, quarterback, super flex, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, and I had 2 additional flex spots on top of that. Like I want 10 guys in my starting lineup.
Yeah, that's getting deep.
Yeah. So from a dynasty league, that's what I want. I want your roster's deep. I want your starting lineup to be deep. It would be different for redraft leagues. You're usually hovering around 7 to 8 skill position starters. But in Dynasty, I think 9 should be the minimum. 10 is what I really like because it really tests the depth of your roster. So is that generally how you would lean, or too many flex spots for you?
I mean, it makes me a little uncomfortable, but I think it's about right though. I think I would probably just do 1 flex, but that's because I'm a simp, so that's what happens. But how do you feel about IDP? Are you an IDP guy at all? I mean, we have our league with the Aussies, but I wasn't sure if you were about that life outside of that.
Yeah, I like IDP from the standpoint of I can feel like average Joe fantasy when I play IDP, because like when I'm playing as standard, dynasty league or fantasy league, like I know every damn depth chart with every freaking guy. And when a guy gets injured and his second string guy gets injured, I know who the third guy is. I'm not walking around like, man, I hope Twitter can inform me. Like I know every single thing on the offense because I spend way too much damn time with this stuff.
Yep.
On the IDP side, I don't know jack. Like I literally have to treat IDP as if I don't know anything. Like when we did the IDP league last year, I set a rule for myself: no more than 2 defensive players from the Cowboys on my team. Not because the Cowboys defense sucks ass, but because like those are the only defensive guys I really know. And like the other thing with IDP is the players that are good aren't always good for fantasy, right? Like Aaron Donald is, right? JJ Watt was during his time, but like Xavier Rhodes in his heyday, he was never good. He's a corner. He sucks. Like you don't waste your time with that. Like, even Richard Sherman back in the day when he was an absolute, island corner, didn't matter. You didn't want him. So I like IDP in a few leagues just to kind of sprinkle it in and feel like, man, I can kind of just go in a little unknown and I don't feel bad when I miss a call because I'm like, well, who the hell knows, So I wouldn't include it in my perfect dynasty league. I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it, at least to give it a shot. But I'm not an IDP guy, through and through, I guess. So I
like a little bit. I like just a little kiss of IDP on there. Just like one of each position, like 1 secondary, 1 defensive line, 1 linebacker. Mm-hmm. I like a little bit of it. The big rosters like we have in the Rockolution with the Aussies, I'm the same as you. Like I'm a lost puppy, and if somebody gets hurt, I just have to hope that whatever guy I have is going to be good enough. And in truth, I have no idea. Luckily, I've sort of gotten lucky on that team, so my defense isn't terrible. But yeah, I'm the same as you. But I do like a little bit, actually. That's just my own personal preference, and it doesn't come up a ton in truth. So I just sort of deal with it. What I don't like, and this is sort of a redraft thing. At no point do I ever want to play in a redraft league with team defenses. I hate them. I loathe them more than kicker. I would rather have kickers than team defense. I think it is the stupidest damn position between that and non-decimal scoring, those are the you know what, and divisions, non-decimal scoring, and team defense are the stupidest things in redraft leagues that have ever existed. But this is a Dynasty show. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. That's just me ranting.
I would copy and paste that shit and just apply it to Dynasty. Like I don't really like divisions a whole lot. I could give or take that, whatever. But
I just hate when a team wins a division and then another team that has like 3 more wins gets out of the playoffs because of it. And I just think that's so stupid. That's just so dumb.
I'm with you there. And the team defense thing, especially, like I think I've navigated it where I've successfully gotten rid of every DST and every league I'm in. It was a running joke in my longtime home league that like every year I'm like, I'm the commissioner. So I'm like, anybody got any rule changes they want to propose? And then I would just reply to my own, message like, boot these damn kickers and DSTs, like get it the hell out of here. Let's add some flex spots. Let's, do something. And every year the traditional guys were just like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. But now that like over the last handful of years, as fantasy has become, bigger and bigger and bigger, people have kind of come around to that and finally got rid of it. But I'm with you. You should not have, it went without saying, I guess I didn't even put it in here. Like no kickers, no DSTs. I don't care. If you want to do IDP, I'm good with that. It's interesting. It makes the game more fun to watch, when you have some IDP players, even if it's not on every league, just because you're like, you see a guy make a tackle and you're like, oh, man, that was my guy, right? Versus like team DSTs is just so.
A couple of years ago when JJ Watt used to get put in as a tight end and got a couple touchdowns. Oh my God, that was just dirty. That was so dirty.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it just adds more fun to it. So I would highly recommend to anyone that hasn't tried it, like give it a shot. See if you can get a league. To add that and see how it works for you, but it is fun. So we got, I think, and I went without saying, but I'm with you. Superflex is an absolute must. If you shouldn't, the toughest part is when you have a 1 QB dynasty league, switching it to a Superflex. Like you almost need like 3 years notice. And even then I feel like it's really tough. Like you kind of just have to pull the Band-Aid. Someone's going to get hosed and someone's going to get an edge, but like, I mean, it is really hard. I always struggle with that. We have that run-of-the-mill milquetoast league that you and I in Memphis and a lot of guys. But it is the most generic-ass league. That was my first dynasty league. It's been around for like freaking 12 years. It's 1 quarterback, not tight end premium. I think I finally allowed you guys to make it half PPR. I hate 1 QB leagues. I don't know. I just hate them.
Yeah, I finally switched my first dynasty league that I ever did. I finally switched them over to Sleeper. I finally got that. I've been trying to switch them off at ESPN for a long time because it was such a pain in the ass for me because that's the only league I commish. So I just had spreadsheets of everybody's picks and all the draft boards from all the previous years. And when we would do the draft, who's been taken? And then I got to take a screenshot and I got to send it. It was horrible. But yeah, we just switched to Superflex and it took 3 years, I think. I think we did like 3 off seasons with like 3 rookie drafts or something and just gave everyone a shot. But last year was the first year of that. So
I think, and I know they've talked about it on other shows, there's ways to do it. I've heard of like just kick all the damn QBs into a draft and like whatever, just like everyone just picks you start from scratch with just that position, to flip it over and just rip the cord, right? But it's got to be Superflex. If you're in this perfect dynasty, these are the kind of attributes you should be looking for if you're joining startups. Don't join a startup draft just because you got invited, but when you get in the room, it's like, 7 starters, 1 quarterback, right. 15 bench, or 15 roster spots. Like, what the hell? Like, this isn't for me. Get out of there, right? Don't just do it just because. So Superflex tight end premium for sure. I'm with you on I don't care if it's half a point extra or a whole full point extra. It doesn't matter as long as it, again, doesn't make them dog crap. Best way to put it. But those are probably pretty standard things in the industry these days.
Yeah.
But I think that needs to be the case. And I'm surprised all the time of the people I talk to that are in 1 QB dynasty leagues. And I'm like, get out of that.
I think it was the Podfather. He was tweeting about a mock draft that he did, and the first like 7 or 8 picks were running backs, and he's a big, robust running back guy. Which I was like, I cannot believe people still like promote and care about 1 QB dynasty leagues. I was honestly stunned because I just, we have that league, and I think I have like one other one that I've had forever. I mean, it's okay.
Mhm.
Like I don't mind. The problem is in your league, I have Patrick Mahomes, so it's weird because you don't want to value quarterbacks a ton because it's only one quarterback league. But also, like, I could just be done with quarterback and not deal with it. So I get offers that I'm like, shit, that's good value, but why don't I just stay with Patrick Mahomes? I'm, of course, talking about P-Win, who has been very successful in that league. I think he's a Michigan fan, which is super unfortunate. But, I mean, he's always trying to get Patrick Mahomes, but he's got a good-ass team. So why am I going to give you Patrick Mahomes and then just pay you money every year for the next 7 years? So it sort of sucks.
Yeah, we've been paying his league dues for years over there,
Yep.
and I've never won that league, and it's been the longest running league I have. And I did run it the first time I ever ran the Dynasty League. A lot of us was our first time trying Dynasty, and we did the league on NFL.com.
Nice.
And dude, like, and you same thing with ESPN, and it's changed a little bit because these like Yahoo, NFL, ESPN, CBS, like they're kind of turned fantasy football into more of like 8 or 9 months where it's available, as opposed to like back, 5-6 years ago, that your site was up in August, and then in December that mother was gone, wiped clean. Yep. And like when the league got turned back on in August, then you could maybe see your history, but like you had to do all the sheets and all that crap. So
I used to have to take screenshots of everybody's rosters because they would do reset. Yes. And if people didn't pick their keepers, because we just picked it as a keeper league, it would just wipe everybody. And if you think I remember all 30 players on your team, don't get mad at me when I didn't add, Alfred Morris to the bottom of your roster. Like, I'm sorry I didn't remember that you still had him.
And it was funny when I brought up this topic because I thought it'd be good just to give people, to really shine the light on like, hey, what you should be getting from your leagues. But I was like, I'll be interested to see what Jerry brings to the table, because I don't know if I know a more easygoing guy than Jerry Sinclair. Like every league I'm in with him, I'm just like, hey man, you got to roll in this rule change. Yeah, whatever's winning, just go ahead, just put me down for that. I'm like,
I think I did say that exact same thing the last vote we did.
Yes, we did. So good stuff, man. So any other scoring things? We talked to tight end premium. Is there any other scoring? It could be as simple as it's got to be full PPR. You got to have maybe per position PPR and that stuff.
Not picky on any of that stuff. I like those are cute little wrinkles that I usually don't realize until it's the third round of the startup draft.
It's point per carry. What the hell?
When everybody has 3 tight ends, and I go, oh, it's 2-point PPR for tight ends and points for first down. Okay, well, all right, I guess I'll work on that. But no, I don't. That doesn't really bother me. Half point PPR, full point PPR, I treat them all the same. Everybody's the same. When it's points per carry, or half point or quarter point or whatever it is, I do take running backs a little bit earlier than I normally would, but it's not a make or break. It's just those are just cute little things that get added.
Gotcha. Yeah, and on the scoring front, is if you've been listening to me or following me at all for a long time, first off, God bless you. But second off, that I've been team standard scoring my whole life, aka God scoring. But I've been in so many damn leagues and things where it's just like I'm in one standard scoring league still, one. And every week when I pull that roster up, that 1 out of 25 or whatever, I'm like, he only scored how much? That's it? Like, what the hell? And then so it got to the point where it was like, it was more important. It was more fun to see more points rather than getting angry about like, well, that screen pass went for -3 yards, is worth 0.7 because this asshole set the scoring as full PPR. I mean, I'm good with it. I like if I'm setting though the perfect Dynasty league, half PPR and half point per first down. I love it. Point per first down for me. I will stand on that table all day. That should be integrated more standard across the industry, because I love the fact that, a 2-yard carry is worth 0.2, right? But a 2-yard carry for a first down, that changes the game. And that player should be awarded for that, in my opinion, in fantasy football. So that's the one thing I usually argue with people about. If it's either make it super flex, make it tight end premium, that better be in the damn league. But if it's not having points for first down, I'm going to try to get that integrated. So it's not for everybody, but it's just one more.
You just have the one standard scoring now.
Just the one. It's a 10-team Dynasty league that is 7 or 8 years old. It's all local guys. So we get together every year, but it's just the one, man, and that's it. So it pains
my
me.
oldest redraft league is still standard scoring, and it's my baby. But that same stuff happens because it's the league that my friends talk the most shit about, and I talk the most shit about. So it's always the first one that I check the scores, especially when I'm against certain players. Corey, I'm looking at you, you evil son of a bitch. I always want him to lose every single time. And for the most part, all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll look at the scores and I'll be like, oh my God, he had such a bad week. And I'll be like, oh no, I have him on this team. And then I'll go look at that score and I'll be like, oh, he had 18 points. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, that's standard. I'm still in 1999. I remember now.
Yeah, it is. It definitely. My mind has been warped where I only see PPR now, but I do think half is the sweet spot. I really do enjoy that, and then the points for first down still gives you. It still gives rewards. The catches for first downs that moves the chains, baby. So I'm a big fan of that, and I will give the props to old Scott Fish out there putting that in SFB. Really got it out there, but I played in other leagues with it. Even a little bit before that, but even going forward, and it's become more widely accepted. So get on the soapbox for that if you're joining the league and it's not in there. If they haven't tried it, got to try it. It's a lot more fun. What about the playoff structure? You mentioned sometimes it's simple, just like, but you mentioned the divisions, and it's annoying that certain teams don't get in. So it maybe it's just like, I don't want this, but for playoff structure, what are you looking for in your perfect league?
I think it depends on how many teams are in the league. If it's 12, I don't mind that 6 get in. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm cool with that. The weird thing about me, though, when it gets to 10 teams, is I like 2-week playoff matchups, and I think I'm the only person that I've ever met that actually likes those. If you're playing in a 10-team league, a lot of you have awesome teams, and it just takes that one guy to drop a 40 bomb on you and you're out. And that sort of sucks. So I like to have 2 weeks so they can make up for it. That's not popular. And when I say it's not popular, I mean, most people will fight to the death against that.
Well, I'm sure that the people that played Alvin Kamara this last year might be on board now, because Jesus, that sucked. That ruined my week 16. I'll tell you that.
But I think just 6. I'm just going under the umbrella that 12 teams is pretty standard. So 6, top 2 get a bye. Just the top 2 though. I'm not divisions, not any of that nonsense. But and then everybody plays it out, and somebody drops a 40 bomb on you, and you cry, and you remember it for the next 10 years, and your friends remind you of it for the next 10 years. Russell Wilson, 2013. Not that I'm still bitter about it.
Damn. There's some salt in that wound. There we go. Yeah, I definitely, I think we all have those moments. I always joke around with a buddy of mine, like we were in the championship game and he lost a quarterback, and I picked up like Joe Flacco off the wire because he had a great matchup, and like that was the difference. Like I forget who he had to play, but he had to play somebody else, and I won because of that. I've also had the opposite. I played against the number 1 seed in the year where OBJ got suspended for the Josh Norman stuff. And I was on the chat. I'm like, give me the money, and I lost, even though the guy didn't have OBJ. So that's what I get for opening my mouth. And I don't do that anymore. But yeah, man, the 2-week playoff thing's interesting. I had a few things here I'll cover at the end as far as things I might want to try, or I've tried once or twice, and I kind of like the 2-week playoff thing is interesting to me. Now, do you like the 2-week playoff for every round, or just 2 weeks for the championship?
I mean, I prefer just for the championship, but I mean, if it's like an 8-team league, which I bless your sweet heart, please don't play those, but because everybody's team's good, but then I would want it all. But just for the championship, for the most part, you get lucky in the semis. That's fine. But,
yeah, I think that's good. In that 10-team league that I run, it is 6 teams in the playoffs. I do, even in 10 teams, I do like 6 teams getting in, because I'm like, I'd rather just have the good teams playing. Like, why don't at that point do we really need an extra week of the regular season to determine like these are the teams, right? But I kind of like the idea of a 2-week playoff, and hell, we get an extra week of fantasy football now. True. So there you go, Jerry. This is your time. Make it happen. 2-week championships. It's easy. Just tack it right on there. Regular season stays the same. Tack it on.
Ain't nobody going to want any part of that.
I might give it a try in one of my leagues. I'll report back to you and show you the scars. All right. For me, my favorite playoff structure is no divisions. I'm with you. But it's just the top 5 of the standings. And then I like the 6th one to be the remaining team on points. If you're sitting there and you're, whatever, 6 and 7, but you have an ass ton of points, you should get in. Like, I feel like, that kind of,
that's a good point.
You earn it. You earned that, in my opinion. Like, so I'm also like, I also don't care about head-to-head tiebreakers. I always use points scored because one, I like to kind of like before the playoffs, I'm like, it's easier to run through playoff scenarios. Like if this guy beats this guy and this guy wins, then this guy's in versus like, oh shoot, but what was their head-to-head match? And I got to go down here and see. I don't like that. I just want total points as the tiebreaker in the standings. And that's final playoff spot is most points scored that's not in the top 5. So I would root for that. If it was my perfect league, that's what I would do. So
I like it. That's how I got into the Scott Fishbowl playoffs in 2019 because I finished. I don't know. I had like a 500 record, but I had the second most points behind Evan Silva. But I got in because of the points, which
there you go, man.
I didn't think I made it, and then all of a sudden, Scott Fish sends out the link of the playoff teams, and there was Jerry's stupid ass name right at the top, and I was like, yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
Senior Master Chief Division.
Nice. Hey man, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trying, given that spot, because again, it encourages teams to keep going too. Like we were in a league that used this a few years back, and it was exciting as hell because all but like one team was in it, like to the end. Like they had to, you get to jump a lot of teams is gonna be tough, but like I think there was a maybe only 40-point swing between that final spot and like 3 or 4 more teams. Like it was, so it was pretty intense. And in that league, you could put up a lot of points. So I'd recommend giving that a shot. Take a look. You could always go back through prior years, see how it would have affected it. Maybe it doesn't. But if you're a team that scored a lot of points and you just lucked out a couple of hard luck losses, you might want that rule. So just throwing it out there selfishly. What about for you? We talked about earlier, we're in a ton of leagues. We get pulled in a lot of directions. We got life, getting in the way of this hobby. But what types of events throughout the year are you looking for? Is it give me the draft and I'll see you guys next year? Do you try to space things out? Building those relationships sometimes is easier to do if it's an in-person league versus online. But what are some suggestions that you have or something that you'd want to install in your perfect Dynasty league?
So I actually don't have many scenarios where I do live drafts or anything. Like I have my home league, my home Dynasty league, and we try to get together, but I have maybe like 3 or 4 times have I ever done an actual fantasy draft with the board, with the stickers, with all that, which sucks because I've had a ton of fun every single time I've done it. But yeah, for whatever reason, I haven't done any of that, but listen, any event that is around fantasy football is going to get me excited, and I'm going to be like a child. I mean, we have Cedar Point up here. I don't know what theme parks you guys have.
Six Flags.
Across the country. But people around here, we look forward to Cedar Point. It's like the night before you go to Cedar Point when you're like 11 years old and you can't fall asleep, and then you wake up and it's only been an hour and a half and it's 5:30 and your mom is pissed and she's trying to get you out of bed and you're just ready. Like you are excited. You don't care that you didn't sleep. That's how I get for the rookie drafts. And now it helps that my birthday is going to be for most of my rookie drafts this year. Rookie drafts, NFL drafts. I mean, a lot of the guys in my home league, we get together for the NFL draft and we watch it. And, they know what picks we have and what players we have. So when I have Darrell Henderson and the Rams take Cam Akers, I got to hear about it.
Yep.
Thanks a lot. So, I mean, it's just fun. It's just camaraderie. Camaraderie is the key to every league. I think that's why ours do so well. We're just good guys spitballing, and we can, talk shit, but it happens when you take Rocket Power all those many moons ago.
Woody.
But yeah, I mean, listen, at every event. What about yours? What do you got?
Yeah, so as a commissioner of a lot of leagues, I've had a lot of trial and error with some of this stuff because some stuff is just like it's just not going to work. Some leagues I'm in where I'm like, because I have luckily I've had a really decent group of guys that I'm friends with, and some of us we hang out every other weekend, and some of us we see a couple times a year. But those are for fantasy football things, and so I have a handful of leagues that are all like in person, local around here. And as a commissioner of most of those leagues, I have to, sometimes I got to lean on people a little bit. Like, come on, I'm giving you 5 months notice. Get your ass to the draft. Like this year, I posted in there. I'm like, we're trying to find the perfect day, right? So everyone can do it. And I'm like, we all have lives. A lot of people have kids, got jobs. I get it. But I'm giving you 5 months notice, and I shouldn't have to convince you to come hang out, talk football, draft a fantasy team, and have a beer. I shouldn't need to sell you on this, right? So like, as somebody that commissions in a lot of leagues, it's tough, but I do like to try to look for opportunities to get people together, if they're local. Through 2020 in the Zoom era, we've definitely as a world, figured out ways to connect with people. And I started a league last year. I got you, and you mentioned on Reality Sports Online, the FUCC for all you guys listen out there. Corona Coalition is the last two letters of that. If you can fill in the rest, but and dude, you're in it. Our boy Jernigan is in that league, and a bunch of listeners of this show and like other people I've met, through doing other leagues. We don't know each other personally outside of fantasy football, right? But that league it's awesome. We chat, all the time. You're reasonable about where no one's getting annoyed, but we've been setting up happy hours, every 6 weeks or so, just jumping on Zoom, hanging out for a bit, just talking football. You mentioned the draft. That's a great time to hang out with your league. Look for the opportunities. If you're in a league, look for opportunities to hang out with those guys. Even if you have a few guys that are in one league and also in another, join up, whatever. Even if you get 6-7 guys in each league, you got a pretty decent group. The draft is the best because not just what Jerry mentioned as far as people knowing whose players took it in the shorts and value, but you don't have to really pay attention to the draft. You just sit there, hang out, and every 20 minutes, pick is in. That's it. That's the best. So I highly recommend using the draft as that point. Obviously, you have your rookie drafts and everything each year, but I highly recommend trying to put something around either those two events, either your rookie draft, the NFL draft, trying to look for ways to, get together with people at least once a year. I really encourage people twice because it just kind of gives you that little extra bonus. But, sometimes that's tougher for online leagues versus in person. But if you ever get the opportunity to create a local in-person league, even Dynasty, I highly, highly recommend it. Friend of the show, John McGlynn, he's local here outside of Chicago Burbs. He put a league together a couple years back, and it's a blast, man. Like, again, none of us knew each other. He just kind of stalked some people on Twitter, found people that lived in Chicago area, and we got together and created this league, and it's an awesome league. And everyone is always shit talking and hanging out, and ended up there are people that live 5 minutes from me, that are in this league. It's just crazy. So, I think we've all gotten past the internet stalker part of the world. People know everything about you. The government knows what kind of ketchup I buy. I just deal with it. So, anyway, so there's some events. I put that on there just because it's something I'm passionate about. So, anyway, we'll wrap this thing up here quick. What about communication, Jerry? You mentioned trying to get people to on there. What's your preferred way? Like if you're in the perfect Dynasty league, what is the way that you're making sure that everyone's informed or you can get a hold of people, that type of thing?
Listen, chat and communication is a cornerstone of a good league. I'm a person that doesn't care. We're working on the startup of my, some of my local friend group here. It's sort of a hassle for them to pick which chat group they want. Well, I already have this chat and this chat. Well, I have this chat and this chat. I'm a person that doesn't care. Like you said earlier, just tell me what you need. I don't care. What site does it matter? What platform does it matter for me to talk? I'm in to talk about football all the time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's why I like Sleeper, because the chat is sort of already built into it. You can at them, and guess what? Jerry wants to, talk to Kyle. Jerry sent a dog shit trade to Kyle. Jerry, put this guy on the trading block. Whatever it is. That's why I like Sleeper. But you need to have some form. Whether if it's local and you can text, by all means, then just do that. Group me's fine. WhatsApp, we're in the league with the Aussies. We cannot exactly text them because they have too many numbers in their phone.
I don't know what that is actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I always say that Australians are cyborgs, and I believe that through and through. They are superhumans. But so we have to have the WhatsApp so that we can talk to them. Whatever you have to do. Listen, if we can have a league with Australians 5,000 miles away and we can chat daily, y'all can put together a chat group and y'all can have, at some point in my life, I am going to venture to Australia so that I can meet those guys, because there's no way I can't, because we have just created a relationship of sort of like this fraternity of podcasts that we have, me, you, and Jernigan and the Aussies and Randy and everything. I've met you, I've met Randy. I got to meet those guys, So, and it's because we communicate, and it's because we play fantasy football, and the relationships that this game can create for us it just makes it so fun. Like, it's so fun. And when you take Jared Goff way too early in the startup, they will let you know, even if you live 5,000 miles away from them. And that is fun, even if it makes you look so dumb.
Dude, you're absolutely right. I mean, the most important thing is that everyone just needs to, whatever the league agrees on, is to just get on board with it, deal with it. I have every freaking one in the books. I even have Facebook Messenger for a league or whatever. And, it is what it is. You got to be plugged in. And there's some guys that I know in certain leagues that aren't, and it makes it tough because you can't even ping them, for something. So you just get on board with it. But the perfect one, and the reason I threw it on here and you alluded to it, we're getting back to it. Sleeper, be in there, man. The fact that the chat is in the same app is awesome, because you got to, if you're on MFL or even like our league that we referenced, or like on Reality Sports Online, great site, love it, but there's no chat, so you got to have something else. But this may seem small, but the one thing that I really, really, really like about Sleeper is the things you mentioned. You can tag people. And you can tag the entire league, which is awesome. As a commissioner, like, you can't do that in GroupMe, unfortunately. Like, you can't tag, hey, everyone, right? You just have to hope to God everyone sees your message before 47, sarcastic ass comments bury your announcement all the way up, clear in the chat. You can tag the entire league, which is freaking awesome. You can, in Sleeper, this seems small, but you can pin stuff. You can pin things in the chat. So, like, I went through, when I flipped all my leagues to 2021, I went in there, I pinned the league constitution. I pinned the PayPal where everyone pays their freaking dues. I pinned, another spreadsheet that referenced, draft pick thing or what, keepers or whatever. That is huge. You can't do that in GroupMe, unfortunately. So, not to crap on GroupMe, I use it all the time, but like, Sleeper has such an edge from that standpoint. The fact that the chat is built into the league, I cannot stress enough how awesome that is. So I just said it again, but yeah, man, you just get on board. But if you can get your league over to Sleeper, that's just another bonus. So hopefully, if commissioners out there know what I'm talking about, they want that stuff. So I'll let you know.
Also, make sure that your commissioner is a reliable person. You are sending them money. You will want to get that money at the end of the season. Now, they do have League Safe, which is, a way that it sort of locks it, so it prevents that. Yeah, I've never had to deal with any issues. I'm just throwing that out there. Also, pay your commissioners. Like, I'm not a commissioner because I don't want to chase people down. Like, bless Kyle's sweetheart for doing that and pinning the link and everything. There's still people like me out there who will be like, oh, I never paid you? Oh, yeah, my bad. And then I'll go doing whatever I did. And then the next day you'll be like, hey, Jerry, remember how you said you didn't remember to pay me? You didn't, you bum. And you'll be like, oh, okay. How much is that in quarters? Can I just send you quarters?
Yes. It was after all the stimulus checks drops, man, I was hitting everybody up. I'm like, I know you got it. Let's go. Let's see it. But yeah, you need a good commissioner. Make sure that as we're getting all hungry for startups, make sure that the guy, someone can vouch for him if you don't know him or her, if they're commissioning your leagues, you want to have, that's why the Patreon leagues are so awesome too. Like, when you're in groups like that, there's accountability there because you're in a group of people that, that are going to hold you to it, which is great. You're in solid, even though it's strangers, right? I'm honestly in more leagues with people I don't know personally than leagues that I'm easily in, personally, right? Obvious, so that's important, vet those people for the best you can. I had a few more miscellaneous things in here, so I'll throw these at you. First off, league trophies are awesome. I've had like, it's tough to do like with leagues that are on the internet, but a little trick to that I found is have the guy that finishes last pay to have the trophy shipped, because then nobody will want to finish last. But two, then you can figure out a way to get that from person to person, and bragging rights is awesome. I know that Memphis, he's not here, Jerry, so I won't tell him. I know Memphis forced you to put up that backdrop behind you, but at least at a certain point, you had a trophy in there, and you were able to see. We were able to see that Jerry won his league. You got to get a trophy for your league, right? I mean, come on, Jerry.
I lost that trophy.
You did? Damn it, Jerry.
That was the standard scoring redraft league. I won that bitch 3 times. I still got more championships than anybody else, but I did lose it. Yeah, listen, I'm a trophy person too. Listen, the money's good, but honestly, for the reason like that you have to bother me when I don't pay my dues, I also don't remember when I win. Like I don't, it all of a sudden someone's like, hey, I'm sending you money. And I'm like, oh yeah, we play for money. Like I don't, it's just not something that I care about. I do this for the fun of it.
Mm.
Now I'm also not like burying myself in FFPC, $1,700 leagues or anything. Otherwise I might sweat a little bit more. Yeah. But I'm a trophy guy because there is that trophy that used to be on my background. Let me tell you how many. I don't Snapchat often, but when I do, it is with me and that trophy and to whatever friend I beat in the championship. And I just look at it and I get to see it's beautiful in all its glory, or whatever. Maybe I'm taking a poop and I just have the trophy next to me. Send that to them. That'll really get an emotion out of them. Whatever you got to do. I like talking shit, and I like when people talk shit to me when we play, because it makes it more fun and it makes us have rivalries. And I love rivalries because it makes me, when I'm not even playing them and I go to the roster and I see that they're losing and I that's what you get. Or they lose a player. Oh my God. Oh, you lost Dak Prescott. Oh, that's too bad. Oh, even though I was that person this year, but
yeah. Hey, no, and it just adds to it, man. When you have that, no one can take that from you, right? And I hear you. Like the leagues that I win and I won money, it's like that's great. That money's gone. Like I just spend it on. I'm just going to
use it for exactly.
Yeah. So like whatever. That doesn't really do anything for me. When I got a trophy, I'm gonna remember I won that league, right? And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. I'm in leagues where we literally went to freaking Goodwill and found something, painted it silver, and that's the league trophy. Like, ta-da! Like, it's crazy. So I highly recommend that. A few other fun things. You mentioned the rivalry thing. I like to find ways like in season to do fun stuff. It can be as simple as just weekly payouts, like for the top scoring team, $5-10. It's worth to boost that entry fee a little bit for that kind of stuff. But I also like doing like randomly, like each week where you make like 1 week is 4 times that prize or whatever. Like we've done it where it was like $5 a week, but 1 week was $20. Like that was kind of cool. Keeps people interested. Or random categories each week. So like you can have things for like longest touchdown. If you had that guy on your team, like whoever has that guy on their team, they get $5 or buck here or there. If you do a lot of stuff, you can just kind of keep it small. Stuff like that keeps people interested. Stuff during the week, because otherwise, it's tough to do in all your leagues if you're a commissioner, but otherwise it's literally in season. It's like, all right, did I win? No. Okay. Put in some waivers. All right. Come back Sunday, set my lineup, and I'm out. So look for that kind of stuff. I'd like to try to see if you can add those types of things. Last 2 things I had, I've never done this. So Jerry, tell me if you've done this. I want to try it. I want to split the rookie draft up. Draft day is awesome, right? But I want to do like rounds 1 and 2 in May and like 3 through 5 in like July, just so it's like another time where we're all, connected. But also too, I feel like if I got the 301, now I'm sitting there with the gold, right? Like, all right, come get it. Like you want this guy, he slipped in round 3, come trade for him, versus like, if you just knock out all 5 rounds, it's just like you blew your wad in May and now we're done. No one does anything. So thoughts on that idea?
I have never done it, but I promise you that 301 value is going to increase. Like there's no way it doesn't. Yes. I would much rather have the 301 than like the 207, because once it comes around, oh my God. No, that's a good idea. Like I'm a person that doesn't like waiting. I like all of it and give it all to me. I don't like, give me a 7-minute, clock and we'll just smash this rookie draft out and it'll be done. I do like it though. I
Yeah.
like it. If you can convince somebody in one of our leagues, I will back you. I will vote for that one.
All
I'm
right.
with you.
We got it. Jerry's going to cast a vote. That's good. So
I'm also going to trade for the 301.
Yes. So that would be one other thing I would add. And this is the last thing on my list. I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think I can commit to this in my perfect league yet, but I'll throw it out there just in case this is my last and only appearance on this show. I started a league last year. I did 2 of them just to test them out. And I don't know if you heard about this, Jerry, but I dubbed them Russian roulette leagues. So they're dynasty leagues. You keep your roster year to year, except at the end of the season. So right after the regular season, right after the fantasy season is done, is that at random, use a lotto wheel or whatever, roulette wheel, it doesn't matter, lotto balls, anything random. And of the 4 positions, QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, is that one of those is getting killed off and tossed completely back into the draft pool. So that your draft in May is not just rookies, but it's whatever position got killed off that year. So
the entire position does that for every team?
Every team.
Oh my God.
So if this interests you, I don't know if we have enough time to go through all the ins and outs of this. If this interests you, you can always hit me up on Twitter at KyleMonth8. But I did 2 of these last year, and it was nerve-wracking as hell that I had a really good team, and I'm like, what position's getting killed? Like, my running backs are shit. I hope running backs, get killed off and get tossed back into the pool. And of course, in that league that I had, Prescott and Patrick Mahomes, QBs, cut all in the draft pool, and now I'm sitting there with the 110. So like, it's been
shitty running backs. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
well, you are a glutton for punishment. I'll give you that. That's sort of awesome, though.
It was interesting.
I am super excited to hear how that draft goes, because that is a wrinkle that there's nothing you can predict. There's no source. There's no there's no resource you go out and be like, what is going to be the best strategy for me, because that is chaos.
Yes, it absolutely is, and that's what I was looking for. Just something to mix it up, create the draft to make it more of an event, during the summer, because that 101 went from, am I taking Trevor Lawrence or maybe, AJ Brown or whatever at the 101, or now it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, I'm literally sitting here with Patrick Mahomes now on my team. Kind of crazy. So the traditional dynasty people will hate the hell out of that. I've had people tell me to go blow smoke when I've thrown this out there. Like, I built this team. It's mine. You back the hell off. But it was the first offseason draft is going to be this season. So we'll see how it goes. But those are just a few other miscellaneous things you could consider in your league. So if you're interested in a roulette league, I might run a couple more this offseason. So hit me up.
Let me in on that if you do, because I am super interested in that, just because I just want to watch people cry, and I'll probably be the one that ends up crying. But
it was crazy of the 2 leagues I did, because I were pretty similar in style. I made them a little different just so that I didn't have an advantage being in both of them. But like the thing was, I think people were scared shitless to trade those off-season draft picks, like those rookie picks, right? Because like, oh man, like these have a lot more value than just like, the 105 in a 1 QB league. Like, okay, it changed it up quite a bit. So it was interesting. But any parting thoughts, anything else the listener should be looking out for as we enter the heart of startup season and people are just adding leagues left and right?
I don't think so. I think just be smart about it. Decide what you want. Check the scoring. I know I made a joke earlier about not noticing scoring until the 3rd round of a startup. Do that beforehand. You will need that. You will want that. And sometimes, you don't want surprises all the time. Sometimes they're nice. If your wife brings you, an ice cream cake, you are thrilled to get that delicious ice cream cake. If she throws something at you by surprise, you don't necessarily want that all the time. So definitely don't do that. Get, a line of communication. Mm-hmm. It is a key. It is the foundation of good, of a good league mate. And it should just be a good league mate. That's the other thing. Communicate. Sometimes I go radio silent for a little bit. I get busy too. At other times, like in the Patreon chat, they won't hear from me for a couple days. I got to work on this stupid paper. It's been eating my time away. Other times, I'll shut the hell up. I'm guessing they want me to shut the hell up. So just do what you can when you can. Just make it fun for everybody. Don't be toxic. There is nothing serious about this game that we play. It is nothing but fun. That's, don't take Jared Goff super early in a startup either.
Yes.
G and AJ or the Aussie guys will never let you hear it down. I promise.
Yes, and that's why you want leagues like that, so that you can always be reminded of the missteps that you took. I may or may not have a league mate that reminds me every single day about the worst dynasty trade I've ever made in my life. And if he's listening to this, he's laughing his ass off right now. So,
well, hold on. We're not just you're not getting out of it. I've got a bad one. I might beat you. But
all right,
I want to hear yours first.
All right. So here's the pissing contest of horrible dynasty trades. So I was in a league. This was that 1 QB milquetoast league. It was like the third or fourth year of it. I had Peyton Manning as my quarterback, and he had just come off like that monster season. It was going into what ended up being his final year. And I thought I was one piece away, right? One piece. So I'm trading my first. I mean, I do that all the time, but I'm trading my first away because you know what? That first is the 112. So go F yourself. You can have it, right? So I traded my first round pick for prime Jimmy Graham, not current Jimmy Graham, prime Saints, Drew Brees, Jimmy Graham, right? And that was it. I was going to the ship. Little did I know that Peyton Manning was like that guy from Men in Black. When they opened them up, it was that tiny little shriveled alien piece of crap inside. That was Peyton Manning that year. And my team sucked. Everyone got injured. And I ended up finishing dead freaking last. The one the next year was Ezekiel Elliott. And there I am, my boy, taken by my team, and I'm having to sit there while someone else takes him with my pick, and my team's crappy. So that was my worst trade I think I've ever made, and I'm not sure I'll be able to compete with that because that was a swift kick to the nads.
Yeah, that sucks. It really sucks because he's a Cowboy, and you're a Cowboys fan too. That makes it so much worse.
Yes.
So
what do you got?
The same rookie class. So mind you, I started in, what was that, 2016? So our first year was 2015. I think that was the first year of our home dynasty league. Season goes through. I make the playoffs. I lose in the first round. I think I have 107. We get to the rookie draft. Everything's pretty chalk. Zeke goes 1 because Zeke went 1. It's a 1 QB at the time. Boom, boom, boom. Gets to 107. I'm looking around. I got a good team. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the kid from Ohio State. I'll take Michael Thomas. So we're good. Draft ends immediately after the draft ends. My friend texts me and he's like, hey, I sort of want Michael Thomas. I totally forgot. You want to just swap? He had the 103. He took a player with the 103. And I go, well, yeah, if this guy had fallen to the 107, I would have taken him anyway. So I excitedly accept Corey Coleman for Michael Thomas straight up immediately after the rookie draft.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh damn, Jerry. That's rough, man. That is rough. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Hey man, I mean that story, copy paste that, because man, every year there's always these guys. No one can miss. They're all great, and we're approaching this season where every single one of these first round picks is a can't miss, right? Any first rounder is worth gold. But half these guys are going to probably suck. Last year was great. And that was, we talked about on the SmackDown yesterday of these sophomore now running backs. And it's just crazy of all the guys that are out there. But that could happen. That could have happened to anybody. But damn, the fact that it was Corey Coleman, who was even in the league for 3 years, like he was gone.
Not really. Not really.
Was he on the Browns? Was he on the Browns?
Yeah. I mean, immediately. The draft ended. He didn't even try and get him while we were drafting. No, it was as soon as the draft ended, I got a text and he was like, hey, I forgot about Michael Thomas. I think I'd rather have him with Drew Brees over Corey Coleman. And I was like, okay, you fucking idiot. I got a deal. I go send it. Because he's the type of person that you can't send him. He just wants to play games. He gets greedy with every trade. I go, you send it, I'll accept it. He sent it, and I mean,
man.
Oh, Kyle. You're not going to believe this idiot, except
he just gave me the pick he made at the 103. What the hell is this guy thinking? He literally just trading away value, right? Oops.
Yeah.
Hey man, it happens. It happens to the best of us. I'm sure we got some others, and I'm sure there's some war stories out there that are always a lot of fun, man. And honestly, like you said earlier, you should never take this too seriously. Have some fun with this. You'd be able to laugh at yourself about those things. It's just hey man, you'll pick it up somewhere else. It'll all balance out. But Michael Thomas for Corey Coleman, you probably had to make a few really good moves to make that one up. So I'll give you that.
Yeah, it's been fun. Real fun. Luckily, he sucks and he hasn't won anyway. But let's get out of here.
There you go, man. Well, I want to say a big thank you to Memphis for letting me step in here and hang out with Jerry tonight. This was a ton of fun. You can follow me on Twitter at KyleMonth8. That's Kyle August. So the 8th month is August. So cracked that code for you guys. So at KyleMonth8. You can follow my other podcast that is a member of the DWZ Football Network at FF Smackdown Pod, and check out the Fantasy Football Smackdown with myself and Jake Ripp every single Monday night on YouTube and Tuesday on the DWZ podcast feed. And of course, you got to give Jerry a follow at JerrySinDWZ. I thought about Jerry. I meant to mention at the top. I thought about changing my Twitter profile, description to just a smart ass that only replies GIFs to Jerry Sinclair tweets, because that's literally all I do on Twitter. So if you want to see someone bug the hell out of Jerry relentlessly with dumbass GIFs, I'm your guy right here. So I hope you appreciate that every time you get that little notification that I'm seeing your tweets.
I usually deserve it for the most part. And every time we get to see the Fat Lions fans celebrating, that's always a good one too. To this day, that is still, when you go onto Twitter and go to the GIFs, it's my frequently most right at the top. Because
yes, sir.
It's just perfect.
It
was good. It's good to have you here. It's always good to talk to you. We have a hell of a time every time. Bless Randy's sweetheart. He finally took a damn vacation, even though he really didn't. He's been texting both of us and doing everything he's got to do to make sure that this bad boy doesn't get set on fire. One day he will relax. That time is just not any time in the next several decades. But good to have you. Good to talk. Always good to just sit here and just talk football with, the Dynasty Warzone Nation, the degenerate bunch that you are.
Absolutely. And I was going to mention that Memphis was getting some R&R, but we know he's not. He's grinding away still. He's going to be back next week. So be sure to tune back in next week. The Dynasty Warzone. Stay subscribed. You guys take it easy. Stay safe. We'll talk to you then.